Uy, bakit naman hindi? Ako nga, interesado.
All the young people I meet in our country really
Grabe pala, parang taga-etibak pala.
Cheers, cheers,
You know, I'm a dog lover as well as a...
hurting the genuity
Yes.
of those dogs.
Magandang hapon, mga kabiyaya. We are here with the esteemed and expert attorney Heidi Kagiwa of Animal Kingdom Foundation, also known as AKF. This is our 4th edition, and we could not move further without having a dialogue with Attorney Heidi Kagiwa. Hi, welcome po.
Hi, Rina. Hi, everyone from Biaya. And it's nice also. It's a pleasure for me to be invited here on your 4th episode, no?
Yes, po.
Of your podcast.
Podcats.
A podcast. Oh, nice. How
Cute.
No? How cute. So thank you for having me. And I hope that I'll be able to share what we are doing in Animal Kingdom Foundation with
Yeah.
respect to the dog meat trade campaign.
Where are you from, attorney?
Oh, that's quite long story, but yeah, my family they originated from San Fernando, La Union, so we're basically Ilocano, but my mom is from Bicol, so it's Bilocano. Bilocano, and then but I grew up in Metro Manila. But I was born in Kalinga Apayao then, but now it's I think Apayao. So we have an ancestral house there. My great grandfather established the province, the town. He helped improve and put business there, and so I was born there. And then the moment after birth, I was moved back to Manila, and that's where I grew up.
Okay. And were there animals in the family?
Oh yes, definitely. I grew up with dogs, but when I was growing up, my grandma, who's very fond of cats, would always have cats in the house. But I wasn't really that, my passion for cats, for animals and dog wasn't that as strong then. So we would just had cats, and then it's nice, and the cats would sleep with us. It's nice. Maybe it was, it's part of a regular thing for us. But I at that time, I didn't have yet that appreciation on the importance, their relevance, and what they can do for us humans. So
Yeah.
they were just, parang kapatid mo lang siya na it's just there. So,
Okay.
but I was growing up, as I became also later an animal welfare advocate, I now see the value. Oh my gosh.
Oh, immense.
Something like that.
Immense.
Correct.
I always say that the development of man is through these companion animals, whether psychologically or in terms of bringing food on the table as well.
Yes,
Simple
simple
things, right? So, yeah, it's. And where did you go to school?
Oh, I went to St. Louis. I graduated mass communications in St. Louis University in Baguio, and I pursued also my law school in the same university. So,
I love Baguio. We have a sanctuary in Baguio.
that's
Yeah, and
nice.
we work a lot with the Baguio City Veterinary
Right,
Office.
right.
Yeah, okay. And then eventually Manila pulled you in.
Yes, because basically the family is here. And so after graduation, I had to go home, leave my second home back in Baguio, and started, had to work. So, lawyering was, of course, a passion. It was a dream. So I started for the first, I think, 10 years. I was just really working as a lawyer. And then the calling just came.
So yeah, how did that start?
Oh, everything started when Animal Kingdom Foundation, Charles Wartenberg, was looking for a lawyer. They wanted to organize Animal Kingdom Foundation as an entity. They were already operating, but they were just doing rescues, so on the dog meat trade. So they're not really as established and organized as yet. So I did all the paperworks. And I don't know what Charles saw in me, that he would usually always bring me to meetings, that he would always ask me for advice. And I said, that's not legal. That's not anything legal. There's nothing lawyer or whatever there. But he would, always brings me in.
So you probably had a connection. that you could not maybe put into words, but he had a connection with you that maybe you
Yeah,
didn't get it at that time.
I did, and
But that's how it is,
yeah,
right?
and then if you've met Charles, during that time he was very passionate, and at the same time he was a very difficult person. But if you don't know him, he would just be another quite difficult person. But I didn't see him like that. But it took a lot of patience for me to understand where he's coming from. So when I reached that point and I understood him, the quarreling stopped. But that's it. That's when I began like, dog meat trade. And I said, if you are going to do dog meat trade, we have to resolve all the other issues linking the dog meat trade. And I said, no, let's just do the dog meat trade. Well, I'm hard-headed. And when I see that this is the better route, that's when we started, really working closely together.
But that's how things are born, through disagreement.
Correct.
Don't you think?
Correct.
And without disagreement, some of the best ideas don't come to light, right? And it's because the threshing out and the explaining, and then you yourself will start thinking, well, why do I want this? Well, how can I convince him?
Yes.
So in many ways, this path has been development for you as a human being.
It was in a way. Because, as I said, I'm a lawyer. What am I doing here? And you get I get teased by my friends like, what are you doing? Do you even get paid for that? Or is that even income generating for you? Is that even honorable for you as a lawyer? With your profession, something like
Well,
that.
why honorable? I don't get it.
They don't understand animal welfare way back in the 90s. It's something like,
Yeah, no, I understand, because I have some relatives who look at me and they say, you're full of stitches.
Exactly.
And, for the degree that you have and whatever, and you're getting bitten by dogs and scratched by cats. And
I would go out when we were working with the dog meat trade campaign. We would go out in the streets, doing surveys on our own, and I would be in my shorts, slippers or rubber shoes, and I would go out in the streets, lawyer at that, asking people, what is your take about like this? I was doing that in the market, in barbershops. So, and I said, wait a minute. If a colleague sees me in my, this kind of
outfit.
and doing this, baka naman I lose my friends na. They lose respect of me, di ba? Parang ganon, or even my clients. But then I thought of that and I said, no, something like that.
Yeah.
So what? I want to do this. I'm happy doing this. So I did. I persevered.
So that's like your, when you're lawyering, you're doing discovery. So
Yes,
you brought that in.
Yes, correct. Because there was a time when I had that crucial moment in my career. Because I have so many offers, nice job offers.
Juicy offers.
Juicy. And I said, wait a minute, if I do that, what happens to my,
Yeah, very seducing offer.
Exactly. And then I said, why am I doing this? Here comes this very seducing offer, but then I'm putting myself here in this difficult, challenging, and stressful situation where, there's nobody there but me and some colleagues, but not really very supportive government, difficult community. So I said, oh my gosh.
Well, because you kind of put it on the map. You're a pioneer in that sense. So you will need to figure it out. And so
Correct.
instead of taking 1 year, it took you 10 maybe, because, you were like, this didn't work, that worked, or you
Correct.
have people working against you.
Oh yes, definitely. So I was in that situation, and I just really prayed so hard. Should I be on animal welfare? Should I be an advocate, or I just be a lawyer?
And what did Saint Francis tell you? Patron saint, look where you are now.
I know where I am. 23 years after I'm still here.
Amazing.
And I've come to that point where I actually put together my lawyering career.
But you
and
know
my-
that takes time, right? It's not up to us.
Yes, it
It
takes
kind of
time.
it's like a puzzle here, a piece of the puzzle there, and then somehow the world conspires, the universe conspires, and you start seeing an image and a pattern, and you're like, oh, I get it. But before that, it's very scary.
It is because again we were in that environment where the people is not as aware as they are now. We are in that environment where everything else is being started. So it was really very challenging. It was difficult.
Yeah, no, I think about it often like a seed that you plant in the soil and you're in complete darkness. And you get watered somehow, somewhere, and you know, it might take time, but it comes up, right?
Correct.
Eventually you sprout out, right? But yeah, I see in you, I can connect to you because it's the same kind of spiritual path. What we do is a spiritual pursuit, I feel.
I think so. I think so too. It's most of that, I think.
Because you do a lot of reflection.
Yes, definitely.
And then you gauge, okay, this is the outcome. What was it compared to my what I wanted? And reflection. And then oftentimes, it might not turn out the way you want it, but that's the way it had to be.
Correct.
That one for me is a killer.
Yep.
For me, because it's like it's already a difficult pursuit. Well,
Correct.
your dog meat trade, you have to work with the PNP. You have to work with people who, yeah, it's difficult, right? Even for me, if just the rescues, but even that I have a very, because people are hard-headed.
Oh, they are. They
Pasaway.
Are, yes, yes.
Diba?
Actually.
So, there's a lot of heartache into it.
Correct. I've gone through a lot of heartaches myself, from campaign struggles, operational struggles, personal struggles, you know, and all this. I think made me more steadfast that I think this is what I want to do, not because I earn accolades or I earn money from it, but I think it's because if you look at all the animals that you've helped, the community that you've, you know, involved yourself into because of what you're doing, and you made an impact and you educated people, I think just looking at that, you could always tell that you've made the right decision.
Passion, purpose, meaning.
Correct.
And that is what I call psychic income.
Oh, yeah.
It's psychic income, you
Yeah.
know, and there's no way to gauge it. It's
Correct.
it's with you internally, right?
Correct.
No, I'm talking about those struggles because also sometimes I get angry. I get really angry, and after a while I realized my anger was actually just deep grief that I had not processed.
Oh, wow.
You know, because sometimes we have a dog here. I didn't show you. He was lit on fire in a very affluent city, in a central business district, the super affluent, and it's like, huh? How is that possible? Now, of course, anybody can come and go, but it builds up. After a while, you get tired physically, emotionally.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah,
I've been through that as well.
yeah. And how does your family take it?
I think, well, with my kids, because they grew up with me doing this. It's like a part of their life. They've more or less involved themselves also in some of our activities, but they're not as involved because of school, and you know, and my husband is really 100% behind me on this. He's actually been also helping us in the rescue center in our most difficult time. When I started looking after and managing or operating the rescue center, it was in that situation where we used to go there, but he would just be in the car working with his laptop and just wait for me and then go home. But now he started with just one bulb. I told him, you know what, we have a busted bulb and nobody knows how to replace the bulb. I don't know what happened. So he started replacing the bulb. So it just started with one bulb, one electrical issue, one pipe issue, and then finally, he registered as our volunteer for maintenance.
Wow,
so
ang
he
galing!
was an
Hats
official-
off, wow!
I know. And then, so it was a real transformation and affirmation that this is not just my struggle, or this is not just my journey. It's, the journey of me, the journey of my husband as well, and my kids in the future, and of course the entire village or community that I work with. And hoping that each and every person that's been, around me would develop their own village, and, our advocacy expands.
Yeah, and where are you situated exactly, AKF?
We're located at Kapas, Tarlac.
Okay.
So it's
Why
Central
Kapas,
Luzon.
Tarlac?
Oh, why Kapas, Tarlac? We were looking for a land to rent at that time where, we're near Baguio. We're located centrally. We're near Baguio. We're near Pangasinan, the Central
The
Luzon.
dog meat.
Because of the dog meat trade, because of that's where the dog meat
Yes,
is being, brought.
yes.
And then we're also centralized in the sense that it's easy for us to go to Batangas, Laguna, where the source of the dog meat at that time was. So
Is it still Batangas or not as much?
Not as much anymore. So the trade has transformed itself into locally sourced. So it's not that. So not so much people now traders are importing dogs from other provinces. It's not like before when we were
No, it's interesting
rescuing.
because I got a comment before because we went to do our maskapon, right? So we did Pagudpud, the entire Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur. We went to Cagayan Valley, Baguio, Sagada, Besao, Ifugao, Lagawe. And sometimes people have a strange notion, and the bashing was, oh, why are you helping them? Why are you helping the dog meat trade? And I was like, can you just think a little bit further? We are cutting production by doing the kapon, right? Aside from other health benefits for the animals, right? And so you gotta win them over because there's also some sort of education that goes on.
Correct.
In places very up north, Pagudpud, and they don't even have smartphones. Some don't even have cell phones. You have to go out with a megaphone on top of a jeep and calling them out, and and they still don't understand. But you get your foot in the door, right? And we were thinking a lot about the north because of that. But then all the more it was an impetus for us to go, and the local governments there are really, really trying
That's
very
correct.
much to curb that, no?
That's correct.
Yeah, and there was one of the vice mayors who argued with me, and he was like, "No," he said. What did he say? No, it's a culture. So I said, I will come back to you, and I'm going to talk to archaeologists and anthropologists because it was not in our culture. Pigs, yes, but I'm going to get back to you. I said, and then I said, we got to talk about this. I said, you know why? I said, it's one thing to go to a restaurant and eat dog, and it's a completely different thing for a ritual. So let's not mix the two things together. I think he was just like, floored. Like, how could I be talking to him that way? And I understand, yes, you culturally maybe grew up with eating dog and da-da-da. I mean, we can go back and say culturally, the Incas were throwing their children as sacrifice, right? Aren't we gonna move from there? You get what I mean? And I really don't know how far back dog eating was there. I don't know. I'm researching now, and I don't know if it was because of war, lack of food, because you can't see it really in the digs I've been inquiring. There's a lot of pig. There's a lot of other things. But dogs, and I don't know when they actually really came here, although there is a dog that is very similar to our Aspen from Borneo that they said traveled through the land bridges, right? But how much of that is real?
Yeah,
We don't know, and that's
Yeah.
So I like getting all this to be able to convince, right? This is not.
I think it's difficult to convince people now that if their argument is that it's based on culture. If you're going to provide them with historical or unsure historical basis, but I think what we can present them is now.
Yes, exactly.
Is now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what we can, that you're right, no? We have always been saying that, killing dogs because of a ritual is actually, of course, we still frown on it, right?
Yes.
But it's legally allowed. But then, if you start selling them,
That's a different thing
that's
altogether.
different.
That's commerce.
Commercial.
Yes,
that's commercial.
yes,
So that's
exactly.
That's wrong. That's wrong because even in the practice of your culture, dogs, for example, has always been used not as a celebratory animal, but as a sacrifice for tragedy
Yes.
in the family. So it relates to tragedy. It relates to sadness, to death. So again, and then you consume it as part of your culture. So there's some disconnect in the meaning
Correct.
of culture, of tradition. So I said, I think that's difficult. That's wrong. But then I said, okay, let's stop from there. Let's start to move forward.
Move forward, yeah.
Do you still want to do that?
Yeah.
And then we did actually a few years ago. I forgot the year. We did a survey in an FGD in Baguio, Trinidad, and we found out that the younger generations, they are embarrassed to be branded or called dog meat eaters because they said, no, we love our pets, we love our dogs, we're dog.
No, this is so true because si Doc Gladys, who's assistant city vet of Baguio, and Doc Bested, first time we went there, they were like, this is really a good turnout. We went for 4 days. We did 1,200.
Yes.
And they were saying, no, this is a good turnout because even the pure breeds, they had pakapon. So slowly being part of the change of heart, the change of mind, or maybe just the awareness.
It's the awareness, and if you also take a look at the presence of veterinary clinics in the city, it's also a growing industry. Unlike
Super,
before.
super, yeah.
And I we look at that as a positive point, especially on the dog meat trade from a community that has been known to be dog meat eaters.
Yeah.
So
We were in a small, secluded town, I remember, and we were told that they will not eat the dog if it's been vaccinated. So we were and then people were watching us, and our excuse was, we gotta be anti-rabies, right? It's the law, right? So yeah, so we were doing all crazy stuff like that. And it's just it's good to be part of something, but it also brings out who you are. Or who you thought you were, and then you're saying, no, I didn't realize I could do this, or I could do that. So that discovery, which you mentioned so much as well, of your own journey, right? And so what happened when Charles moved on?
Oh, though that time was really difficult for us.
Yeah.
We were left with a lot of issues, we don't have money. We didn't have money to really sustain us. But even before that, Charles has always been saying, I built this organization for Filipino people. So you should continue to run it whether I'm still here or I'm dead. Or actually, he would say, kick the bucket. So he should learn how to raise funds on your own. There's a lot of, as the father of the organization, there's a lot of things that he would always yip-yap us about. And when he passed away, everything started to go back to me, and then, oh my God, this is what he was saying already. The time has come, etc., etc. So we started. Good thing. We were already looking into sustainability projects, but then again, it's difficult, to start again, to start anew. We were just really very lucky because we had good friends. We built our organization in that level of credibility, that people would lend us money, that suppliers would lend us dog food even if we haven't paid for a year.
Wow.
They would continue to...
Who are those suppliers? I want to know them.
So that's how it was. That's how
You can
it
tell me
was.
later. Wow.
But that it happened. It happened like that, and when we started to build ourselves again, we started to. I have at that point in time, I really had put more time and effort in the organization's operations, and started doing our own fundraising. It's not as much, it's not as big, but it helped us in a way to survive. There's also a lot of personal struggle there, because at that time, during those times that we were really financially drained, I was also doing well in my practice, so I was kind of supporting it for a while, but then when it started to
Stop.
it has to stop also. I mean, it has to stop. So that way, we had different programs and partnerships already, and we started to really make ourselves build again that programs that we used to have. So we started also not just doing dog meat trade, we were also doing a lot of spay neuter, vaccination, education program. I'm very, very keen on education programs, because I believe that this is where everything would be cemented. I mean, our advocacy will be firm, would be fully established if we start educating the children, not just the children, the young adult, and even the adult. It would be difficult, but when you
harder when
start,
adult.
Yeah, when you start, they would realize, they would have that in a way sense of consciousness.
Yeah.
But if you have the children and then telling your parents that, Mom, I think that's wrong, or Mom, that's my pet, don't hurt my pet, it's different.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
And it's interesting because in many ways, because the children are open. And so when they listen to what you're saying, or what they see, or what their other friends are doing and saying, they don't question it.
correct.
Because they go more for feeling. They don't need to
Yes.
think too much. And so it gets embedded.
And what the adults say, they take it as an authority.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell a lie or to confuse children with that, because they take what you say as an authority and they would believe you.
Yeah.
So
No, it's funny, and that's where I really believe in the schooling system, where when the city vets go to the different schools with the different programs, and just to let them know even about they don't have it so much here, and I was trying to encourage sino to, si Alfonso, no, because our big sanctuary is in Alfonso, Cavite, that we can start with this American idea of you bring your pet to school and talk about your pet. Like you bring your toy, or this one is you bring
it's
a
like
pet.
the show and tell.
Show and tell, but with a pet, right? And it's just to show that, hey, they're not just guard dogs, although they can be, something like that. So we need to be creative to how to find the solutions
correct.
to penetrate.
Correct. We did, I think that was 2024, I believe, or yeah, something like that. I would always have crazy ideas on how to, send messages, communicate, whatever, or projects. And I would always have this idea. I said, Charles, I want to partner with the DSWD. What? What's that? Social welfare. What are you gonna do with them? Oh, they have the 4-piece project. Remember the Pantawid Pamilya something.
Yeah.
So we did. So we partnered with the DSWD in Baguio, Benguet.
Yeah.
And we go to the grassroots, empower them by teaching them, responsible pet ownership,
Yeah.
by teaching them compassion, responsibility, and caring for animals would, help them give that or develop that sense of empowerment, responsibility that, if I take care of this one dog, diba, if I don't eat it or if I don't slaughter it, then, my kids are happy. There will be no bites because they're vaccinated and the community will be healthy. They would develop that sense of belongingness, sense of usefulness. They're not just poor people or individual begging for money from the government. So they lose that sense of failure. Because it is sad to say that sometimes when you're poor, you have that victim mentality. So that's what we were trying to remove from them through our grassroots education program. So we did that for so many years.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
And that's why I always say, actually, like, animals, the community, they can bring the community together or completely.
Correct.
Like we work with a lot of cat groups, and there are a lot of people who are upset with the cats, right?
yeah.
And then, but there are the feeders, and so just to bring them together to say, hey, at the end of the day, if you don't figure it out, it's the cats that are gonna pay the price,
Correct.
right? So you wanna feed, great, feed, but spay and neuter, vaccinate them. And organize your feeding where,
Right.
organize where, a little place where they can do their business, etc., right? But sometimes it takes a lot of effort for some people. Even, I'm telling you, we were in a mass spay and neuter not far from here, and I was going house to house. And there was a house that was just maybe 15 meters from where we were having it. And she didn't want to bring her dog because, I don't know. So it was like, nanay, this and that, talk, you really make yourself. And I'll say, I'll bring the dog and I'll bring the dog back. Okay? This and that. But there's an apathy, but there's also a laziness. There's a lot of things. And sometimes, that's where sometimes you get angry, right?
Yeah.
But I also understand that maybe hindi nila kaya. In a way na hand to mouth kasi sila, right? So they're not thinking about tomorrow. They're not thinking about how their neighbors will be, etc., etc. But it's parang too much to think, so let's not think, right? There's that. Then there's this other side with that burnt dog, for example. We have a witness. Witness doesn't want to come forward.
Yes,
Why?
that's common.
Takot sa kapitbahay. When they go home at night, what can happen? And so, right, the community can really prosper or suffer greatly from it. And I don't think even if you have apathy that you'll be happy deep down inside when you didn't do what you needed to do and someone or
Yeah.
something got hurt.
There's a thing that certain degree of guilt, that even if they don't really care, but deep inside them,
Yeah.
so that little thing there, you really have to prick it and then for it to come
Yeah.
out, because these are the people that eventually would really be your allies, one of our allies. But then again, going to each and every one of these people are difficult.
Yeah, it's draining.
It is draining, actually. It is. And
But then we work with two homeless street dwellers. They feed cats and dogs, and every week we give them human food, dog food, cat food. And I chanced upon Kuya Eddie once because I did a TNVR in a street. And so when I was returning the cats, they all ran to a shed. So I was like, huh? So I went to the shed and there he was. And I was like, have you been taking care of the thing? And that's how we established our relationship. I tried to find a home for him. He doesn't want to, I don't know. He has his story, but he's so good with the animals. And you can see because they love him, right? And they sleep all around him. And it's like, how he feels that he's already happy.
Because the cats are his family already.
Yeah.
He was able to develop that relationship. So, if we are all maybe come together and, started developing or helping people develop that sense of relationship or connection, I think, the population of animal welfare advocates would grow, and at least that that kind of attitude that you don't really need to love them, you just don't hurt them, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So at least we are in that situation. I think that we will have a better Philippines.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if the estimate is correct. The estimate I have was given to me is 15 million strays in the Philippines.
I don't really know because there's really no scientific.
No, there's no census.
But there will be soon. We're actually working on that, and the formula that was, I think, used before by Humane Societies, 20% of the human population is an estimated number of.
But that's a Western country?
No, that research is done here in
okay.
the Philippines. So that's the estimate that they did. But then again, in Quezon City, there was also another study there, but for own dog population, and there's another study that was done, I think, for Bulacan. But for national statistics, there's none.
There's none. So,
but then again, I think each and every LGU would have their own estimates or
correct.
population.
Yeah, from the vaccinations. That's
correct.
normally from the ARV, we can guess, and then I always say times 2.
Yes. Yes. That was also one of the formula that was used before, at least 2 dogs per family or per household, but I think that has also been changed because of the growth in pet ownership. So
Yeah, especially during COVID.
oh yes, correct.
A lot of people. So Heidi, how do you go about it when somebody reports a dog farm for meat?
Dog farm.
For meat.
Not really dog farm because we don't really have a dog farm. So if anyone reports
That there's
dog
somebody
meat, yes, a dog meat trade.
So how does it
operation.
go?
Well, we receive messages usually from through our social media, through our tip lines, and others they go straight to me. So I would have those reports, or we receive those reports, and then we have a team that process, validate. Sometimes I also contact directly the ones that would report, and then we validate it, and then we go to the site to check to see if the reports are valid, and then we start
And you need to use the police for this.
oh yes, because we don't have any police power. We're not.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's dangerous. I tried.
Oh, yes.
I was informed, and so I went. Nueva Ecija. And quickly my police friend said, "Don't. It's like a mafia." He said,
Correct.
"So you better be careful, Rina." So I was like, "Okay, anyway." And then, there's AKF. This is before so okay. We can just
Yes, and we're often there in Nueva Ecija.
yeah.
I think even just for this year we had so many Nueva Ecija busts.
So you call them a bust.
Yes.
So the dog is alive, or the dog is, or it's already in meat form, or in both?
It depends. We get reports that it's in this restaurant or in this eatery. We get reports that no, this dog meat trader wouldn't sell live, but slaughtered because to avoid detection. So it's a mix of everything. So
I just got reminded because you had an adoption event and one of your dogs was a dog meant for the dog meat trade, and so that just kind of,
yes,
I mean, it's these things you always know about these things, but somehow because of what we do, it's hard to take it all in. So it's like floating, right? It's there. It's happening, this and that, but it's hard to take it all in. But when I saw that, and I was like, gosh,
how?
yeah, and you see the dog, and she's beautiful, and you're like,
You don't want to see them when we are doing the raids.
oh, I'm sure. I have a hard time in pounds, so I can't even imagine.
Yes, you don't want to see them. My gosh, it's heart wrenching.
Yeah.
And yes, it is unsafe. Also, no, I mean,
I was really warned.
yeah, there was one operations we did somewhere, I think in Quezon. I had no driver. I had to drive.
Quezon.
Quezon here. Yeah, Quezon Gumaka.
Oh my God,
And
okay.
we were driving. I was driving. We had 3 vehicles plus the police, 2 police vehicles. We were following up. I didn't know that I was already following that guy in his tricycle, eventually loaded with 21 dogs. How did they fit in that?
In a tricycle?
How do you call that? They
The-
call
the-
it kulong-kulong.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
So, I mean, when we saw it, maybe I said, maybe that's just 3 or 4. But no, when we opened it, oh my gosh, so it's 21. But when we were following, I didn't even realize that was him. It said all of a sudden, the police, barricaded his direction, and then he looked behind him, and it was me in my car.
Oh my God.
And then I looked at
It's
him.
like a
as in,
movie.
Yeah, we had an eye-to-eye contact. Maybe not really
My
looking
hair
at
is
me.
standing.
But and then I said, oh my God. So I was stupefied, and I had 2 volunteers with me. First time that I've ever brought volunteers. But then they were really, long time volunteers with us because I wanted them to document. So I said, okay, document. I was driving, and then so we were eye to eye, and then all of a sudden, maybe he sensed some danger. He went down his tricycle. I opened my car because I didn't know what to do first. Should I stay? Should I open my car?
Yeah.
So I said, go. So I went down the car. My volunteers followed me, and then he ran off. And then because it's a highway, there's so many big trucks, passing. So I was actually hoping sana masagsaan na lang siya. But he didn't. So he just ran off and then fell on the ditch. And I think he rolled over. He because we found out he was so injured the next morning.
So you found him.
Eventually, yes. But, there were gunshots exchanged. I mean, I don't know what happened, but when I heard the gunshots and I had 2 volunteers with me, I said, back off. We have to leave that to the police. Never mind the documentation. It's their job anyway. We're not police. So, but then, everybody was shaking. I was shaking as well.
Of course.
Because, that's the time. Because before I used to get, threats here and there, but I never really took them seriously. But this time I said, oh my gosh, it's real.
You were there. You experienced it.
Yeah, it was real. I mean, the shooting and all, the chase.
Did you get to jail him?
Yes, eventually.
Thank goodness.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah, okay.
It was really one of our very emotional and most difficult rescue because we were tailing him for I think about a month or so.
Wow.
So
Wow. I mean, the dogs. What happened to them? Were they still alive? Or?
I think most of them got adopted already.
Ah,
yes.
fantastic.
I think, or if not all, got
No,
adopted.
because you remind me of once somebody gave me the plastic fruit box.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this, and they just left a plastic fruit box. I don't know, 20, 30 kittens inside.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was, there were some that were trampled. They're dead. They're this, and it's just like, Oh, what's this?
Oh yeah, that's one of our rescues. I think in Bulacan, recent rescue. So we would find dogs stuff in sacks like that.
2 days ago, I found 4 puppies on my way to the sanctuary. Yeah.
So they're selling dogs like that. I mean, when we see them, we would usually punch holes on the
Yeah, so that they can breathe.
can breathe at least. So that's how we. That's actually our cattery.
Oh, so sweet. Yeah, no, it can break you, but it can make you also.
Yes.
Maybe some sort of discovery of
Um,
yourself that you didn't know you were capable of, or
Oh well, when that happened, I already had, convinced. I was able to convince myself already that this is something I wanted to do. My real discovery was when, after I think a police seminar that we were doing in Baguio, when we were going back here in Manila, and then we got a call that there's a truck full of dogs that was left in NLEX because the drivers got flagged down for a violation. So maybe not wanting to be discovered because they have dogs.
they flee.
So yeah, and then so we went, we checked the dogs, and I think there were about 66 or 69 dogs in that truck. But when we got there, because the police were so scared, they didn't know what to do, so they didn't open.
Yeah. How were they kept?
There's a false trunk. Just a false trunk. It's a big truck like that, and then there's a false trunk. So these are empty up here, but all the dogs are stuffed inside.
Oh my God.
And then when you open the truck, the stench, the smell of heat, dying dogs, feces, urine, and the body heat and all. It smells like dog, of course, no. But you know that this dog suffered a lot because when we open
Of course,
the heat,
Yeah.
and then the first thing that that I saw was this dog staring at me like that inside the trunk. His eyes covered with slots. He was looking at me like that, and I said, "Oh my God!" So that was my first reaction. And from our team, the moment when we opened, the moment when we started taking the dogs one by one, nobody was talking. It was a complete silence. And I didn't know also what's wrong with my team because they've been doing that for a while. But for me, that was because I would always tell the team that I'm behind the scene. I don't go to raids. I work behind you because if I'm there and something happens, nobody will do anything. Nobody will save you or nobody will work it out. So that was the first time that I've ever really witnessed dogs in that situation in the dog meat trade. So I said, that sight, that the eyes of that dog, has
It's an imprint.
imprinted that vision in me and told me, help me or help us. And then that's it. I never stopped. I started going to raids. It toughens you. Those sight toughens you. And I never stopped. I did everything I can to just really stop this trade. And I'm happy that at least we're not
I think you're very successful. I mean, not very, but you're getting there. You're not super successful because there are just too
still.
many human beings doing that. So you can't round them all up. But you have managed to really make an imprint.
Yeah.
You've really managed to establish that it is wrong.
Right. And I think what's important for me is at least we did this earlier. We were not like, the magnitude is not like China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam. We're not like them.
Them.
Because
Yes.
otherwise, if we did not,
Then, well, this brings me to the point because people tell me, "Oh, Rina, what's with the kapon? What's with the thing?" Like, and it's like, do you understand? We are like Moses going through Exodus. We ain't seeing the promised land, but we have to do this. So it's a little bit to what you're saying. We're not gonna get there, but we plant the seeds now,
Correct.
and somebody else will take shade.
Yes, definitely.
Because if not, then what?
if we didn't start anything, then we would have been another China.
Yeah.
We would have another Vietnam, Cambodia. And I said, thank Charles that, we started doing this earlier, that you brought me here earlier on so that, I can do something.
He must have seen something in
I
you.
don't know.
He must have. Maybe he saw it and couldn't articulate it, or maybe he saw it and didn't want to tell you because you might have gotten afraid. He
fired me several times.
Fired?
He fired me.
What?
I said, Heidi, you're fired.
Mga puti. From where is this guy?
UK.
Oh.
British. So, you're fired. You fired me. And I was like, are you sure? Okay, bye-bye. But then, a few minutes later, Heidi, as if nothing happened. I'd like to remind you that you fired me already.
You told him. Good for you.
Fired me already. Let's talk. Our relationship was like that. But he would always come back to me. Maybe because he sees that I have crazy ideas. That I can move things. Because before we were so reclusive. He just wanted to do dog meat trade. And I said, dog meat trade is a problem. But we cannot finish or end the dog meat trade just by raiding.
No,
We have to do
doesn't.
education, spay and neuter, all this community involvement, all this.
Well,
projects.
this is our advocacy is stray-free, rabies-free Philippines 2030, right? And of course, are we gonna get there? I don't think so. But never mind, we're still doing it. It's
As long
crazy.
as there's a target and you're doing something.
Exactly, right? But at the end of the day, it's not just ARV.
No.
You can't. If the government has a budget of 1,000 pesos, let's just say, right? When it comes back next year, it's gonna need 1,200 because the production doesn't stop, right? So you really need this two-prong approach. Just like you identified, we need education, we need this, we need that. You said you already did the kapons, you did that. Because it's not one thing that will stop it.
It's a combination of everything.
Because it got there with many different things.
Correct.
So it's like the approach is holistic, but
Correct.
not only is it holistic, you have to also think, oh wait, through your experiences, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we add this? That's why there's this podcast.
Yes.
Podcasts. Because it's like, okay, how can I reach other people? How can we, as a community, reach other people? Because it's a lot of, some of my frustration is there's also like egos between NGOs. And it's painful. It's very painful. And it's me like, hey, even if there were 10 AKFs, 10 BIS, 10 CARAs, 10 POS, it's not going to solve the situation anytime soon. So let's work together. Let's do things together. And let's set everything aside for the animals, right? Because at the end of the day, that's who we're supposed to be doing things for.
Right.
Right? And so I always measure like the intelligence of someone with their willingness. And that's why I was like, yeah, Heidi's coming. She's coming. We're going to talk. We're going to this and that. And,
I don't have any reason to say no. Actually, I would always.
I know,
if
but
I
I
get invitation, I would go as long as my
No,
schedule
but
permits.
Heidi, you have no idea how many times the door has been slammed on my face.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I don't get why. And maybe I won't, but that's okay. It's okay. Maybe not now. It's all in God's time. Maybe
Right.
not now. But it hurts, it's like,
Yeah, same thing
especially
happened to me before. people ignores me. People don't really, I mean, they disregard you as lunatic.
Correct.
So I said-
Lunatic. That's the word.
So yeah, people would close doors on me also. But
It's like, oh, sino tong puting babaeng to or whatever. No? I
oh
mean,
yeah, especially that you're foreign looking.
Yeah, so locaret, right? Locaret, right? That's always what they say. Yeah, just 2 days ago when I rescued the puppies from the Silang Highway. What are you filming? Because I wanted to document what are you feeling? You foreigner. I said, ire-rescue ko mga puppy. Bakit? Ikaw, ire-rescue mo ba? Hindi. Okay, wag. Wag mo akong pakialaman, ha? I became mataray na because it's like, you get what I mean? And then you can tell. You can tell when they're nice.
Oh yeah.
And then you can say, hey, pakiusap naman, ganito, ganon. Or it's like, I don't know why you can sense, since I think our senses get very developed when you're out on the when you're on the ground.
Right, correct. Similar thing happened to me going up to Baguio. I was driving again. I was driving with my sister. We were doing this trip together. And then there's this jeepney going up. I mean, I think it's Pangasinan season. And it's also already near Cannon Road going up, right? And then there's this, I said, ano yan? Parang may rebulto on top of the jeepney. And then it's a goat. Trying to balance itself on top of the jeepney. And I said, oh my God, that's a goat. And I said, beep, beep. I really chased off that jeepney driver. I was like a policeman. But I was wearing shorts again. It's a weekend. I didn't even had my shorts. I didn't even had my shoes on. I was driving, barefoot.
Yeah.
Because it's comfortable and it's a weekend for me. So I was honking hard on this driver and finally he stopped. And I said, Kuya, sabi ko, bakit nasa taas yung kambing? Wala po akong paglalagyan. Saan kayo pupunta? Sa Baguio po. Tapos I looked at inside the jeepney. It's empty.
He didn't want it inside.
He didn't want it inside. Maybe because it's going to poop or it's going to smell.
Yeah.
But it's a passenger jeepney. What is the and then they're going to Baguio. And there's going to be, zigzags all over. And I said, ibaba mo yung kambing na yan, pasok mo sa loob.
Yeah.
And then I said, the look in his eyes, I know that he was
Like, who you to tell me?
starting to get angry and starting to question me. Kung ayaw mo, sabi ko, magkita tayo may police station doon. Pero alam ko wala.
We
May
get
police
good at
station.
these things now after a while.
Magkita tayo dyan. Wag mo akong tatakbuhan. So, those things. And then my sister was shaking. She never saw me like that. Ibaba mo yan.
Yeah, a switch turns on. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, a
It
switch
happens.
turns on, and it's like when it's all said and done, and I'm no longer shaking. It's like, was that me? Like, it's like sometimes you don't even recognize who you can become. But going back to your story, but don't you find that always seems to happen to you? Like me. Why do I have to always see the dogs on the street? Why do I always have to see the kids and I have to start?
I try to, close my eyes. Most
Yeah.
of the times I won't see anything. But then once you remove your hands from your eyes, oh my God, timing.
No.
Go na naman.
Yeah, no, that's it. Imagine on my way to the sanctuary, 2 puppies, 2 adults on the highway, super scabies. Then, as we took a smaller turn, we see a puppy on the road. So the driver said, there's a puppy on the road. Okay, stop. Then there were 2 kids, and we're like, oh wait, is this puppy yours? No, somebody threw a sack
Oh my God.
with these 4 puppies. This is one of the 3. So I said, okay, we went inside the farm, and the 3 were scared. They were inside the sack, and they said, we opened the sack, but they don't want to come out. So it's like, do I really need to see? Does it have to happen to me all the time? So that is it
Get
like
that-
a magnet?
Yeah. It's a magnet. Actually, sometimes the bad magnet, happens. But sometimes also you
The
get this
good.
feeling, this good magnet when
Yes,
you're
yes,
just
yes.
sitting in one corner in a park or even in any street or even in the beach. All of a sudden, all the dogs are around you.
Yes.
And then there's a cat here and there's a cat there. All,
They know.
Yeah, and then I said, oh my God, I had this client. We had this strategic planning somewhere in Bohol. So we were in this, partying in this nice beach, and then all of a sudden, he said, "Attorney Heidi, you have dogs all over you," and I didn't even notice that. I said, "Oh my God, how come all the dogs are around me? I mean, they're all there, just lying down, one under my chair."
Yeah.
Oh my God, they can sense that you're a friend. They
Yeah,
can sense
I
that-
think so.
that they're secured with you around. So I think there's that.
There's that connection still, right? So you work with the police to help you with these things, and then you try to rehabilitate. Are there dogs that you can't rehabilitate?
Medically or behaviorally?
Behaviorally.
Yes. We do have some. But because as they grow old, they get
they calm down.
Calm down. So it takes a while. So it also the pain there is it will also take us a while to rehome them. Sometimes never.
Sometimes
So
never.
We have those types.
And
of
so they
dogs.
just become your resident dogs.
Yes, they just
Or
become-
cats. I saw you have cats.
Yes. So they just there. And we have a lot. And we even had an experience where one of our oldest dogs finally, got adopted. Somebody wants.
Oh my God, that's
an
the
elderly
best.
dog, and then oh my God, and I said, finally.
Yeah.
The moment the dog, was rehomed and all, after a few months, I think, the dog got sick and passed on.
Passed on.
And in the heart of rescuers like us, I've given you a nice home. What's your problem? And
It's-
then the adopter on the part of, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Something like that. There's always that self-blaming sometimes.
Yeah, no, that happens to me. What happens often is you rescue them, and you rescue them just to die.
Yes.
Parang
That's-
parang it's like they're safe.
Yes.
They feel they're safe, and they can now let go.
Yes. That's
So sometimes I get into this as well. Maybe I should have just left it. You get what I mean? It's like it would still be alive, but yeah.
We had a lot of those. We had a lot of those situations where
It's heart-wrenching. It's heart.
here na, and then you've rescued, and then once you're in the clinic, it's dying
Yeah.
already, and then you can't do anything. It's like this. Oh my God.
So
So they just want a decent burial. So that's what we have always how we think it. Like, they wanted to be rescued because they just really wanted to have that one last chance to be loved and to be buried with love and a beautiful, burial. So we give them that. We give them that.
yeah. So do we, but the helplessness is gut-wrenching.
Yeah. Actually, it's sometimes you get tired of loving. It's
Yes.
called compassion fatigue, right?
Correct.
So sometimes you in that situation where, do I really have to, always feel this happy and then losing it?
No, I go through the same thing. Oh, it's a great day. We got 2 adoptions or 1 adoption or this person, and then I'm thinking, wait, what's gonna happen? I start, okay, Rina, calm down because tonight, tomorrow, so
It's a roller coaster, right?
super. It's like CrossFit.
Correct.
It's a
I love
CrossFit.
that. Yeah, I think that's the best how you describe it. That's really,
It's CrossFit, and you have no rhythm, you have no vuelo, you have nothing.
You don't know what's gonna
Happen
happen in
next.
the next few seconds.
Correct. No, it's really really tough, and that's where it's helped my spirituality because it's just like we're really not in control of anything,
That's correct.
and this is the biggest lesson that and then we just surrender.
Yes. That's our religious link.
Yes.
But then, the reality is when you go to your real life, you have to show that tough face.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
be this. You have to be tough. You have to be
Yeah. Correct.
cold.
Yes.
Sometimes I see, this poor dog. I don't react. You don't see me react. You don't see me cry. You're never gonna see me look at me with that kind of emotion. Don't expect me to cry. I'm not gonna cry, but I will
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Me, one wine bottle and sinking in the tub at 1 a.m. and bawling my eyes out.
I think that's how we are. We have a different way of managing
Yeah.
how we feel, but I think the animals that we're trying to help and rescue wants us to be strong.
Yeah.
The animals that are waiting for us to help them wants us to be tough because it's already tough, looking at them.
Correct.
So we just have to be
Yeah.
people when people sometimes they would tell me cold naman, di man lang, parang you're not affected. And then I said, of course I'm affected, but should I show you I'm affected?
Yeah.
That's a choice that I have to make. So I don't do that.
Yeah.
So then it's
Same.
something.
Same. I'm the same. And I sometimes I just, like that, sometimes I just leave. I go to the car, I go somewhere else because I'm just trying to process. Or I go do more rescues. Sometimes my husband's like, wait, it's 11:30 at night. Where are you going? I can't process this in my head. I have to move. So I'll go look for some cats to do TNVR or something. And that's how I process things.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think sometimes, because my mind is so active, especially at night, I can't sleep. I think a lot of what's going to happen here, or what should I do with this, and then, my cell phone would tak, 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 most of the time, 24 hours a day. And then when I read them, you started to feel, oh my gosh, I have to do something.
Yeah.
Your body and your mind keeps on moving. And I said, this has to stop. Sometimes, in a way, because you have to be able to compose yourself
Correct.
so that you'll be able to do more tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I always tell myself that I have to compose myself, relax, try to do, so that tomorrow we'll do more.
Yeah.
Rescues, plan more of the raids.
Yeah,
Talk more to people who
Yeah,
doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, that's what that's for me, it's the human thing. Yeah. That's why I prefer the animals any day. But yeah, it's a different kind of draining. It's a different kind of draining, and I don't think I'm eloquent enough to put it into words, but I think you feel that. It's something you feel.
Yes.
The helplessness, the hopelessness, the haplessness, and then you just kind of tell yourself, okay, well, maybe one day, or maybe you won't even see it. And actually, I just say to myself, you just keep on going, Rina, one cat and one dog at a time, as much as you can, and figure it out, right?
Yeah. I always tell myself, maybe not in my lifetime.
Me, that's
But
for sure.
I started it. Somebody
Yeah.
will continue.
Yeah, correct.
So-
We're planting seeds, no? So Heidi, what are you looking forward to
For AKF.
for AKF and for yourself?
For AKF, of course, really my passion is, to be able to one day declare the Philippines as a dog meat-free country. It's still far, but I think it's reachable.
I
you know?
think so.
I
Dog
mean,
meat, yeah, I think so.
I think it's reachable. So I won't stop. I always, put it in my goal. One day, here I am with my AKF team, with the government, we will declare the Philippines as a dog meat-free country. So that's how I would like to think of the dog meat trade campaign. As an organization, also we wanted to not grow in terms of size, but I think we would want to be able to manage, and we would want to be able to deliver more services to the community. I mean, I'm happy that there's so many younger groups now coming out. I just really feel that sana, it's really for the animals and the dogs. It's not.
Yeah, sometimes it isn't.
Yes.
Sometimes it
And
isn't.
there's a lot, right?
There's
They
a lot.
start with a good heart, but then later
Something
on,
goes on. Yeah.
right? So I said, I hope with this younger groups, organizations, or individuals, they would really know. Because if we would pull them all together, there's a lot.
There's a
we
lot.
can make this
and
big change.
and we can really make a network, so we don't have.
Right.
I mean, it's like, how do you divide yourself in 4 or 5 places? Heidi needs to be in so and so. Heidi needs. You can't, right? But if you can work together as a network,
Yeah, we do that. We've
diba?
been doing that,
And I think
actually.
it's a really great thing.
Yeah,
I mean, you're able to do that. We're just really starting, so we're trying to develop that, and hopefully, we can all meet together on that day.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Meet together on that day where you will make the announcement, and we will be cheering you
yes,
on.
please, yes.
You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
That for me would be a great, great day.
That's also because that's also one of the reasons why we change our tagline.
Oh, what was it before?
I think breaking chains to freedom. something
Okay,
like that. Because
and-
we were just really doing dog meat trade, and I said no. We said that we are building a better tomorrow, or creating a better tomorrow for the animals, because things are not good previously, but they're improving. So
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow it's better.
Correct, and incrementally it'll get better and better, and then I also believe in synergy. I believe that people meet each other for a reason,
Oh yes.
and eventually things happen. Like you met Charles. I mean, yeah, and sometimes things incubate.
Yes, I remember also that one of the animal welfare friends we had. I mean, I think that was Dr. Ray. We were doing the Anti-Rabies Act. We were
Yeah, can you put a picture up of Charles?
of Charles. Oh yeah, that's him. That's Charles, and that's Sweet. Sweet was rescued in La Trinidad, Benguet.
Wow!
Dog meat trade. So
Oh, wow.
Charles was so crying when he found Sweet, who was still a puppy then, and brought him to the UK. We always say, si Sweet, ano na yan, may British accent when he barks.
Yeah, but it's funny because my daughter went to school in the UK, and she has a rescue dog. So I call Luna Aslon, Asong London.
Oh, sweet.
So this is exchange. This is Sweet Aspin in London, and then Luna is Aslon in Pinas.
Oh, nice. So,
Yeah.
that's Sweet. I've met Sweet also when I was in the UK. He was big as a Filipino dog. He was really big.
Really big, yeah.
And he died of old age. I think 2 years ago. He died of old
Okay.
age.
All right. And when did Charles pass?
2017.
Oh, okay.
2017. He was planning to come here. He would always love to be here because he's he's very hands-on. So he does a lot of work in the rescue center, and I would bring him to meetings. I would definitely brings him around to meet people and work on our programs, and he likes doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's his time. So.
Yeah, when it's your time, it's your time. Yeah, that's really incredible. One thing I wanted to ask you, I saw that you filed against the security guard.
Oh yes, we did. I had
Is that,
those-
did he really throw that dog out?
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
We filed a complaint with the kids. The owners of the puppy. So I mean the owner, because the other one is a friend. And they really said, yeah, he threw it. You know what he did? He grabbed, strangled and did like that, shake it a bit and whoosh.
Oh my God.
And it was so fast, they said.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
There's the puppy.
And it's what, 2-3 months old?
Oh my God.
And then they brought they were selling some pagita. And naman, in that part of SM and Trinoma, there's really a lot of standbys there. And maybe they're frequent because they sell sampagita. So maybe the guard always sees them, nainis.
Nainis, yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I think it's a great, it will bring more awareness. Sad to say, the puppy needed to pay the price for it.
Yes.
And that's what I always say. At the end of the day, it's the animals that pay the price.
Yes.
The humans.
For human error, not
Yes.
error, for human fault.
Yes, right? So we'll be following that to see that,
Yes, we actually have a hearing, I think, in this August already.
Wow, ang bilis!
Yes.
Ang galing!
Yes, we already. And then we did also meet with the PNP Social. They're the ones that supervising security agencies. And I said, when I went in, he was very accommodating, he was very nice. And then when I came in and I said, "Sir, tayo lang. Di ako sanay." And he was laughing, and then he started, when we were meeting, I think we need our community affairs. So he started calling one. And then, I think we need the supervisor for... So I said, I told you, hindi lang dapat ikaw lahat ng team, because they have to know their roles.
Yeah.
So our ask for them is to issue a memo or issuance to all the security agencies, a mandate for them to
Correct.
include animal welfare in their trainings.
In their training.
And then especially for those that will be deployed in malls, pet-friendly malls, or but it's important, especially also because some of the security agencies would have canines.
Yes.
And I said, there's a lot of issues there with the canine training, we don't know.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So I said, these are the things that you can see that would improve treatment to animals, because guards are considered persons in authority, not in the legal sense, but on the
of
eyes
course.
of
Correct.
the eyes of the public. There's someone there with an authority. So if they tell you, don't touch that, or you can go in, you won't go in.
Yeah.
So in that sense, they are persons in the eyes of those children.
Yeah. No, so we'll be rooting behind you, and hopefully.
I really hope so.
That
this will
So
prosper.
thank God you're a lawyer, so you know how these things go.
Oh yeah. I think it's a value added that I am.
Yeah.
Because I other than that, it's funny because
The law takes a long time. Justice can be long, so that's why I'm happy
Yes.
that you got already in August the hearing.
That's just an initial. It takes a while once it's filed in court. This is just with the prosecutor.
Prosecutor pa rin. Okay,
So it
got
takes
it.
a while. I mean, some of our dog meat trade cases have run 6-10 years.
What's the longest?
The longest, I think, 10 years.
Yeah,
But we got conviction with 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. So.
Parang it's not anymore parang it's talagang you're already so with so many other things.
Oh,
You're happy that you got it, but parang you have to wait so long
And it's
for.
available.
Yes, that's the problem too.
So, I mean, people would say, or the lawmakers maybe would say na, yung pag sa tao nga, it's also available, something like that. Ito pa kaya
Yeah.
aso lang.
Aso lang.
Diba?
Pusa lang, aso lang.
And I hated hearing that.
Of course.
Diba?
Of course. I always say, no wonder Jesus Christ decided to be born in a manger amongst animals instead of being in an inn. You get what I mean? I'm saying he was not allowed in, but no, it was his choice in the end.
Yes.
Right? Because they're more pure of heart.
Yeah. No, that's why.
There's no tainting there. There's no, and that's what I always tell friends. You have, with younger children, I said, you want to teach your child responsibility. You want to teach your child unconditional love. Get them a pet.
Yes.
Get them a pet, and that is, for me, the education that everyone needs to have.
Yeah.
That we're all
It's
sentient.
self-learning after
Correct.
that. You
Correct.
don't even have to exert effort. It's
No.
self-learning.
Heidi, what would you like to tell the people before we? But we have to invite you again.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but tell me, what would you like to tell the audience?
Oh my gosh. Do you still have time? There's so many things I wanted to tell the audience. but
Okay, go.
I don't know. It's so hard to tell people
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
to just say love animals, be compassionate, be responsible. But there's really so much work to do that. But I think my ask only for the people, the netizens, the ordinary people, to please respect the animals, to please do something to help them. You know, don't rely on the groups, the NGOs, to work for and to deliver that help that animal in front of you is already asking you. Do it yourself. Be part of the advocacy. We always say that, you know, pet ownership or responsibility for animals, you know, it's not just an NGO's job.
No.
It's everybody's responsibility. So I'm calling everyone.
No, you know, on your point, we get about 200, 300 messages a day. Reports. And it's like, okay, you're there in Bulacan or you're there in Bacoor. What can you do? What can you do? Right? So you have keyboard warriors, you just have this up, and it
yes.
drives me nuts. It really drives me nuts. And it's like, so can you help us? What can you do? What is your part? You think this happened just for whatever? Right? No, you have a role to play here.
Yes.
What can you do? And I'm not even saying pay for this or do this or
yes.
no, you tell me, what do you think you can do?
Yes.
Right? It's very simple, right?
That's right. That's why that's my ask for each and every one of us to be part of animal protection, to be part of this concept called animal welfare, so that it's no longer be a concept. It's something that, you know, an everyday thing for each and every individual. If we do this, there will be no problems on strays. There will be no animal cruelty. There will be no dog meat trading at all.
Yeah.
And then we're all gonna live in a beautiful life together with animals. So that's really my ask. I'm sure it's not gonna happen in my lifetime, but
Oh well,
we start,
let's
you know.
try. Let's try.
Yeah.
Why
If-
not?
if
You and
we
I
start
think
working on it together.
I think you and I are both crazy enough to
Oh,
to
yeah.
hope for it.
Yes.
Why not,
Yes.
right?
And
Suntok sa buwan, as they would say.
Definitely.
We're gonna punch the moon. And why not, right?
Yep. So that's how I think that's the message I want to put out there.
Yeah.
Be part. Don't be the problem.
Yeah, don't be the problem. Yeah.
There's so many problems already, and when
Well,
people
this
ask
is
me,
the thing.
"Why are you helping the animals? Why don't you help the kids and elderly?" And I said, "There's so many people already helping
Doing
them.
that. My same
You
answer.
know, who are helping the animals? Just a few of us. So let's also help them, because if we help animals, then there will be healthy animals. We would have healthy environment.
Yeah.
You know, we would have healthy food.
Correct.
We would have, you know, a better environment for mutually for animals, for humans, for the environment.
Yeah.
It's one beautiful world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, thank you, Heidi. Super thanks.
thank you so much for having me.
I
here.
mean, a very nakakabusog ng puso. No, because it's so hard to explain.
I know.
It's hard to understand. Make someone, it's like, I don't want to be a burden to somebody else to say, hey, it's heavy today, right? It's like, yeah, and we need to be able to nurture each other.
That's right.
Even if just for support. Even just knowing you're there. Okay, she's taking care of that, I'll do this.
Yes, definitely.
Diba?
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
It's nice also that you're doing this. You know, well, never mind the background, but
But
it's
no,
nice
I always say it's a series of unfortunate events that landed me where I am now. And you know what? Thank God.
I
He
think
knows
it's
what he's doing.
divine.
Yes. Totally
just like what
crazy.
happened to me.
Yes, totally crazy, totally. But then, you're like, oh, is this really your plan? Okay, I got you. And, just lead the way. I feel like I'm facing the right way, so I just need to take one step at a time. If I need to pause, I pause, but one step at a time. We're facing the same
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
All
how
right.
it is for us. Also special for me. That's how it is.
Yeah. Well, God bless you.
Thank you so much
For being a biyaya.
Oh,
You are a biyaya to the dogs,
the
and
more that
you know,
you
and-
are to them.
and in the end, we can't take it with us, but we take it inside. So I always think that what we do, like I said, is psychic income. And there's like a bank account in there. And and there are no numbers, there are no letters. It's a bit like algebra, like infinite math.
Yeah.
But I have to plug this because they're really great supporters. Ayala Malls. Thank you so much, Ayala Malls. Cafe 2.0, Risa, Mitch, thanks so much for the
I haven't tried it
pastries.
yet.
Yeah, we can heat it up for you. And
Very good.
yeah.
I like it.
And at the end of the day, I want to thank Heidi one more time because really, you give us energy. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you also for having me here. I would not, let this opportunity pass because it's also my way of sharing our story. It's our way of sharing what we do, and of course, it's our way of also listening to you and to hear what you're doing. And it's also nice to know that people like you have come out and started.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's about community, sharing, community, and learning from each other.
Correct.
So that's great. Thanks so much, Heidi.
Thank you so much.
Ingat,
Rina.
ha?
You too.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Please keep on.
And you too, ha? And if there's any way we can help.
Oh yes, please. We will. We will be in touch.
Sige.
All right.
Okay. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
You. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hello, mga kabiyaya. We are here to discuss anything under veterinary services, rescues, adoptions, TNVR, animal welfare, responsible pet ownerships. Anything and everything as well in between. Kung nais po ninyong magiging isang biyaya sa aming mga alagang aso't pusa, please comment below or message our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. Maraming salamat.